Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our second NAC Ask Me Anything of the Spring 2024 semester. My name is Burcin Becerik-Gerber. I'm an NAC member and professor and department chair of the Naja Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering at the University of Southern California. And with me, co-moderating is our NAC member, Susan Bogus. Susan is the interim chair and AGC endowed chair professor of construction engineering and management at the University of New Mexico. So our themes for spring 2024 are focused on sustainability and resilience and the use of new technologies in construction. So as you might know, the National Academy of Construction was established in 1999 to recognize our industry leaders. An important purpose of the Academy is to share the collective knowledge and experience of our members to improve the industry. We have established the NAC AMA to help transfer knowledge of our members to the next generation of construction leaders, who are you, through this webinar, providing a means to link past and present participants in the construction industry. Our AMA sponsors this year are the University of Florida Rinker School of Construction, Arizona State University Dell E. Webb School of Construction, and the University of Colorado at Boulder Construction Engineering and Management. Our format is very simple. Our speakers will make a short presentation about a topic and their perspective on the industry, followed by the time to answer your questions. So if you haven't already, please email your questions to nacama@austin.utexas.edu, and we're going to put that in the chat as well. And one student will win a $500 scholarship, which will be announced at the end of this event. So it's my great pleasure to introduce Khaled Naja, who is a globally recognized C-suite executive with cross-industry experience in private equity infrastructure, capital planning, commercial development, construction management, asset optimization, and infrastructure operations. Oh, wow. Khaled offers strategic insight and leadership on infrastructure and development worldwide. Khaled's commitment to diversity and inclusion has been internal to his successful leadership teams. His embracement and celebration of cultural, religious, gender, and social differences in the workforce and community have allowed for documented environmental, social, and governance, ESG, as you know, successes. Khaled is sought after for his global transformative leadership, strategic counsel, passion for sustainable growth, and technical advisory services. Having been a private and public sector executive with critical leadership experience, Khaled has established a reputation for delivering technically complex and managerially challenging infrastructure and development programs. He is known to thrive in meeting tight deadlines and constrained budgets, which I'm really looking forward to hearing from you, Khaled, on that. His career portfolio includes current CEO of Cruise Terminals International, which owns, develops, and manages cruise port infrastructure throughout the world. Khaled also held executive roles at 2 of the top 3 busiest airports in the world and 14 international and domestic development programs at different stages of progress. So innovation has been a lifelong core value, evident in Khaled's enabling of resilience and transformation through digital strategies. He is also a trendsetter in the transportation ecosystem, integrating digital towers to optimize operational efficiencies. His successes are frequently studied and replicated by others as he continues to develop human-centric enhancements to push the envelope. Khaled was honored as one of the Engineering News-Rocker's top 25 newsmakers in 2021 for innovation and modular terminal construction, a first-of-its-kind maneuver, which resulted in paradigm shift in terminal development. I think there I'm going to stop and let Khaled introduce himself and his perspective on our industry. And after that, Susan will take over and ask your questions.
Burcin, thank you so much. It's actually super humbling to hear about yourself. I just view myself as the engineer next door. At the end of the day, we're just, our job as engineers is to support our communities and do the right thing right. And that's all I do. So I really appreciate everything you just mentioned. It's very humbling. I'm going to turn over to Dr. Bogus so I can just move on with this introduction. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay. Well, so Khaled, hearing all the stuff that you're doing, but maybe folks aren't quite so familiar with what you do with your current job, working with cruise terminals. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about what a typical day or a typical week is like for you in your current position.
Thank you, Dr. Bogus. So, big picture, we're a joint venture of Royal Caribbean Group as well as Icon Infrastructure. And our job, our responsibility is to finance, design, build, operate, and maintain cruise terminals globally. So if you think about the cruise terminals, typically the cruise ships only go to beautiful locations. So my responsibility is to plop terminals in beautiful locations across the globe and operate them and make sure that they look phenomenal, that our customers actually really enjoy the ride and have great times with their loved ones and families. Currently, we own two different cruise terminals, one in Miami and one in a city called Ravenna. If you have not heard, Ravenna is 140 kilometers south of Venice. It's one of the most beautiful cities that I've ever been to. It used to be the seat of the Byzantine Empire. And then we also have developments outside Rome, Barcelona, as well as St. Thomas. So that's the portfolio right now. We started, I was employee number one in this startup. We're up to 9 employees right now, and we should be by 19 by the end of the year. It's actually very exciting. As engineers, typically we work for corporations and companies, and we go support clients. But to be able to start a company from scratch as employee number one, and with seed money and a great idea and great support, and have it grown it in 10, 11 months to where it's at right now, it's something I'm very proud of. As far as what does the day look like? For those who know me on the call, they know I only sleep 3 hours a night. So I'm not one that requires any sleep or effort. I walk at least 5 miles a day, and typically I get them before 7 o'clock in the morning. And I'm in the office by 7:30. Typically, the first thing I do, because of how international our operations is, we progress to, first thing I do is I check all the voicemails and emails from the night shift, I call it, which is the international day, and make sure that our colleagues and team overseas are being supported right and they're getting everything they need. And then by 7:30, I walk to the office and plan what's ahead for North America and the Americas in general. So by I don't eat breakfast. I have intermittent fasting every single day. So my first meal is typically at 11:30 noon. And by the time that happens, I'm pretty hungry. But it's what I do. What I think is most important for everyone on the call to know is that you have to take care of your health. That's physical as well as mental health, because that's the most important thing. And even going for a walk or for a jog or what have you, first thing in the morning, it really helps, kind of focus my day and kind of relax me so I can be much more productive and supportive of my colleagues. On a regular basis, I have one-on-ones with my team members. And the one-on-ones typically pertain strictly to their personal lives, and make sure I'm there to support them in everything they're going through, because I think what most people don't realize is the toll that society as a whole take on everyone around us. So what I found it very, very helpful is to focus on the physical and mental health of not just myself, but all my colleagues and team members, to make sure they're in good shape. And we have staff meetings, quick huddle-ups. Typically by 7 p.m., I'm heading back home, wherever home is, because of what the portfolio I just talked about. I'm based in Dallas, that's where my home is, but I got a condo in Miami, and I travel globally. So wherever home is, I'm typically out of the office by 7 p.m. and just come back home and meet friends, touch base with colleagues, catch up on a couple things, call the family, call friends, call loved ones, and go from there.
Wow, great. So the theme of our talks this spring are related to sustainability. So here's a question that was submitted asking, what do you see as some of the emerging trends in sustainable and resilient construction? What should we be aware of in this area?
Yeah, I mean, there's a typical that's really gaining steam, which is material used and reductions of material footprint, carbon footprint. But what I found personally that really worked out is the use of digital strategies. I think the digitalization of assets, as well as not just in construction, but in maintenance and asset management in general, is completely understudied and underappreciated. And one of the main reasons is because it costs a lot of money on the front end. It's heavily the quantum of capital on the front end is accentuated to the tune where be it academia or clients kind of shy away from doing it. What I was able to find in my career is that pushing the digitalization of assets during design, construction, as well as asset management, it pays off dividends. And that's really something that, when you think about what that really means, Burcin was discussing digital towers, and in a previous career, I was able to truly reduce my carbon footprint significantly doing that, and it's by the optimization of the assets. It's pretty incredible. It is cliche to say that, but when you know exactly what you're solving for at any given time, it's no longer the optimization of the systems themselves, but it's the optimization of the systems vis-a-vis the operation, vis-a-vis the construction, which really result in significant green footprint saving as well as cost savings.
Okay. So sticking with the technology theme here, there's a question here about the use of drones on construction projects. So what have you used drones on any projects that you've been part of? If so, to what purpose? What kind of information did you gather with that?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. So in a previous life, I used to work at DFW International Airport, and I have to give a big shout out to Bill Grozdanich and his team at DFW. They really stretched the envelope of innovation. What they were able to do is use a litany of different drones with different sensors on them, and those were able to take pictures of the state of the pavement on the runways, the state of the roadways, as well as document progress in different projects to protect the client. But in addition to that, they were used during the design phase, which is really underappreciated as far as drones. They were able to use the models inputted into the drones and overlaid into actual physical natures, which really supported our overall effort to be much more sustainable and efficient in our delivery. So drones are, in my mind, definitely no longer the future. They're the present. And the applications of the drones have been incredible. The other thing that were used at DFW were drones being used for pesticides to spray the entire airfield, so wildlife does not encroach on the airlines. That's something that before in the past usually either spread or used helicopter used overnight for long duration. So using drones really supported the operation.
Okay. So Well, I have one last technology question for now, at least. A couple people have asked about the use of artificial intelligence, and what are your thoughts in terms of use of artificial intelligence in construction, and how might it impact sustainability?
So needless to say, Doctor, that anytime you use advanced intelligence, be it artificial or otherwise, in development, that you render the development much more efficient and you cut waste. It's pretty basic if anybody can think about it. But artificial intelligence for me is underutilized currently in engineering aspects. I think that's really the next frontier as far as the use of artificial intelligence for optimization and the completion of designs, really as a whole. You know, how many times any of us have been on jobs or projects where, you know, we have issues and conflicts. You know, conflict resolution becomes very critical, be it for, you know, challenges in different software integration or design management or what have you. And I believe that AI would truly help optimize the design itself, but also optimize it vis-a-vis sustainability, which means, like, if you can think about it, today you can already overlay, you know, the sun, you know, in a 24-hour period over a facility and optimize the facility itself from a material perspective or from a lighting perspective or from a systems perspective. I believe that AI can actually do it much better than we can do it today. I think we're just scratching the surface as far as what AI can do to support our overall development. And I think where AI can help the most is during construction itself. If you think about it, the whole construction ecosystem has not materially changed for the past couple hundred years. The life cycle is very much identical to the 1800s. And I think we're overdue for a significant paradigm shift in that life cycle of construction specifically. And I think that AI is going to help us get there. I don't think it's going to be tomorrow because our ecosystem is very solidly interlocked. Nobody really wants progress because people are benefiting from the inefficiencies. But I think here, sooner or later, it will happen. There were companies right before the pandemic that took a leap in not necessarily AI, but advanced technology to optimize the entire life cycle and ecosystem. And they all went bankrupt, or most of them went bankrupt because of the pandemic. But I believe that there are companies out there that are in startup mode that I know of that will pick up the ball here very soon and use AI to disrupt the market.
Oh, all right. A couple people asked questions about challenges. And so one question was, in your experience, what are some of the key challenges and opportunities in implementing sustainable design principles in large-scale construction projects? And second part of that question was, how could industry address these challenges effectively?
Yeah, so this goes back to something foundational for me, which, gosh, now it's in 2008, which is 16 years ago. I'm getting old, Doctor. But 16 years ago, I helped co-author the Sustainable Design Manual for Chicago's airports, which became really a globally used and updated sustainable airport manual. And one of the reasons I did that is because I'm heavily engaged in sustainable behavior, but also I believe, and I genuinely believe, that sustainability is not just good for the environment, which I'm really keen to implement and support, but also sustainability saves money. And so it's kind of a hard paradigm not to go after. When you think about the benefits of sustainability on our communities, on our lives, on our ecosystem as a whole, and you also put that hand in hand with the financial savings. again, it's a very tough thing not to follow. The challenge in our industry these days, in our lives, is that most everything becomes politicized, and instead of people doing the right thing for the right reasons, they want to argue about it and talk about it. I mean, let's just call it what it is. It's immaterial why the globe is warming. We can make cases for any particular reason. The reality is it is warming, and the reality is we have a responsibility to our communities to at least not assist or help in that warming effort. And to provide better lives and livelihoods for our children and grandchildren and the next generation that we've had. I mean, that's the American dream. That's what we're here for, to always improve, always support, always benefit. And so for me, sustainability is something that I truly believe in, truly value. And I think one of the main reasons why it hasn't really caught on as much as it should have is because it's misunderstood. Words can mean many things to many different people. And the other thing is, I think we as an industry have created so many hurdles to achieve sustainability limits. We almost bureaucratized sustainability. If you think about all the different accreditation that we get for sustainability or different plaques we get, Dr. Bogus, you know as much as I do, you have to go through a significant amount of documentation to get that, to get credit for it. And for me, that bureaucracy kills innovation, kills the need or the thought of actually progressing with something that is good, because I can't remember the last time I met any individual who likes bureaucracy, but having checklists and having documentation is not something that people want to do. And the other thing is that we essentially dictate on individuals what they should and shouldn't do during the planning and design process. And the truth is that the people who can help us out most in our industry are the contractors. The contractors is where it's at. The contractors control the largest footprint of that ecosystem. And in my mind, we owe to ourselves to heavily engage the contractors and ask for help in how we can develop better.
Okay. So, where do I want to go from there? So this, we had a question here regarding public versus private projects. And so, a lot of the airports you've done have been public, probably public entities, whereas the cruise industry is probably considered like private entities. What sort of, how do you see the difference in implementing sustainability between your public projects and private projects?
What I'm seeing firsthand is that the interests are very much aligned. Both private and public entities truly want to do the right thing for different reasons, but they both really want to do the right thing, and they want to do it right. And they both want to make sure that whatever they do have a lasting impact on our society and is supportive of our community as well as the ecosystem. So I don't see too many differences between both as far as implementation. What I do see, though, is the private side is much more nimble in vetting the different concepts, new or otherwise, than the public side. Just thinking out loud here, typically from a public perspective, anytime you want to implement anything, you have to have 3 different proposals, or you need to have a different competitive process or what have you. On the private side, you don't. On the private side, if there's something that you genuinely believe is you're doing it right for the right reasons, be it fiscally responsible or be it for the better of the ecosystem, the communities, what have you. You have much more leeway to implement things that fit the bill, and not just because of a procurement perspective or bureaucracy, but because it's the right thing to do.
Okay. Maybe cycling back to, you talked about sustainability during the construction phase and how the impact that contractors can have. So here's one question about what sustainability measures do you think are the most challenging for companies, and maybe I'll say contractors, to transition into or to adopt?
Yeah, when people think about sustainability, they have a laundry list of what they think about. I'm not sure how many people are on a call right now, but no matter how many they are, if you ask each one of them how do they define one sustainability initiative, you can probably get the gamut as far as what it is. For me, what we did in Terminal C at DFW Airport is the epitome of sustainability, which is how could you design and build a terminal, move it in place, completely reducing waste, reducing your carbon footprint, reducing your efforts, and handling it much faster. It all came together, and this one was by far the most challenging one. And kudos to the Walsh Construction Group for doing what they did. It wasn't easy. It was very innovative, very creative, but they got it done. And quite honestly, the industry is not ready for something like that. They're really pushing hard to implement, but it's a huge challenge for the industry to actually be able to adjust construction to be more like manufacturing than construction. And in my mind, the day that happens, the day that we get our architects under control and we can actually standardize construction, that'll be the day that we actually have much more success in reducing the carbon footprint on all construction.
We had a question here about concerning some of the trades, right? And so some of the trades are considered old school. And what do you think is the best way to introduce them to other technologies or new construction processes?
Dr. Bogus, maybe it's me, but you were breaking up.
Oh, sorry. The question was, with some of the trades being considered more old school, what is the best way to introduce them to new technologies or new construction approaches?
So trades are very localized. So the trades are mainly community trades, be it drywall or painting or concrete or what have you. Those trades don't travel. Those trades are much more regionalized or localized. And in order for us to take the next step from a technology perspective or from a sustainability perspective, what we have to do is invest resources to train local communities of how to take advantage of those resources. So general contractors are national, trades are regional and local. And when you start really hitting home as far as trades, you need to go to local community colleges, you need to go to vocational schools, you need to truly show them what benefits them and how they can actually get a better employment, higher salaries, more guarantees on their future by teaching them technology improvements and trade practices that are not what they've learned from community members as a whole. That has been a huge challenge because, as I said earlier, there's no incentive for the market to change. That's exactly why that the market as a whole has been pretty much the same for years, hundreds of years. When the government wants to invest, what the government did is they give incentives to reduce, to give rebates or reduce costs on, or provide grants on sustainable projects, which is great, but that money goes in the pocket of the owners, and by default, the project cost gets reduced, which means the subs that are localized make less money. So what you have to do is almost you have to incentivize bottom up rather than top down. You have to incentivize training in skill set training. You have to incentivize innovation at the sub level. You have to almost make construction cool, where people want to engage and provide resources that are very, very different, that provides efficiencies to the system as a whole. None of that is being done on any level whatsoever. The municipalities or the governments or what have you, and this is not in the US, it's not a criticism on US governments at all. It's everywhere in the world. What governments do is they provide incentives for the owners to move projects along. And all that does is provides a glut in the industry, glut in the market, and inflates prices because there's only so many resources that are able to achieve so many projects and support all these grants.
Okay. So we have a question here about implementing diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, in the construction industry. And the question is, has there been any specific good practices or best practices, either short or long term, put in place to improve the diversity in the construction industry?
DE&I is something very near and dear to me, possibly because my mom, the way I was brought up, my mom is all about women's lib, and she made it known day one that women are better than men, and the fact that women are underpaid is unacceptable. They should be overpaid. But with that said, it's something that I truly cherish and support. I think from a DE&I perspective, I think everyone on this phone call has an obligation to support each other in our communities daily, really. DE&I is not a number, it's not a target, it's not a percentage. DE&I is a way of life. Inclusion, support, these are things that have nothing to do with our industry. These are things that we should be doing regardless everywhere. We're only as strong as our lowest common denominator. And when we allow any community member to fall behind or not to be supported or not to be included, it doesn't matter what ethnicity they are or what sexual orientation or what have you. It's completely immaterial. We should be thinking about supporting each other no matter what, and making sure that we all rise together. And I think that concept is lost sometimes because people just think about themselves and how they want to advance. And what I found in my career is that D&I pays, it doesn't cost. Going to community events, making sure that all community subcontractors or contractors or designers or architects truly understand and know what projects are showing up, what is the scope of the project, what it entails. Knowledge becomes power. And the more we can filter in all that information to everyone around us, the more everyone knows where they can play, how they can succeed. And they know that they're being supported, because in business, business is risk-taking. So when anybody wants to take a risk, they want to know that there's a safety net from the community perspective to support that risk-taking, because we want them to succeed. We want them to grow. Unfortunately, Dr. Bogus, that effort is lost on many. And I think as a whole, we should be just much more engaged and much more supportive of our communities as a whole.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. I think just a couple of questions before we transition into some of the career-related questions. So someone asked, what is one of the biggest projects that you have worked on?
The short answer is they're all big in my eyes. Any project that you engage in, any project that you invest mentally and physically in to make sure that it succeeds should be big in your eyes. It's I have well, it's kind of like having several kids, and you're asking a parent to pick between kids. It's just they're all different and they're all beautiful in their own rights. So I was just thinking about my son Jason, and he's looking to go to college, and the reality is, no matter where he wants to go, it's the best college ever because he went there. It's the same concept. It's they're all very, very relevant for me. I started off in the DC metropolitan area, worked on several projects there, high schools, airports, transitioned from the Mid-Atlantic to Chicago. I have awesome memories on all the projects there, and I remember facts and dates and people who I worked there with, and I remember the support system I got there. Went overseas. Those projects overseas were probably the largest financially. We're talking about dozens of billions of dollars for projects overseas. And then going to DFW airport, just the creativity and the innovation and the avant-garde approach was also phenomenal, and I love it, and I think it's a huge, large project. And now what I'm doing as far as cruise terminals, it's something different. It's something beautiful. It's something large. They all are large in their own rights, and I just love them all.
Actually, I see a couple questions here specific to the cruise industry. Now that you mentioned that your transition to the cruise industry. So one question is related to, is there a push for more solar in the cruise industry?
Yeah, to the cruise industry's credit, they're really pushing for a much more sustainable future. They're really pushing for a much more diverse future. You just mentioned, Dr. Bogus, about solar. The amount of effort that the cruise industry spent on turtles, on sea life, and marine life, for lack of better words, on emissions as a whole, is pretty astounding. I don't think it gets enough press. Let's just call it what it is. If it's not negative news, it doesn't make the front page. But the cruise industry has gone out of their way to be sustainable, to be green, to be supportive of the environment, and in everything they do. Right now, Port Miami here, where I own one of the terminals, they're spending an insane amount of money on shore power, which essentially is power to actually power up the ships before they take off, and it reduces emissions dramatically. Some of those ports have used solar panels to offset that, so it's not coming from the grid. We got to be careful though, because it's falling through, and some of the solar panels, their carbon footprint to make a solar panel is pretty high. So we just got to be careful as far as what is the intent, where we're getting power from, how it's being generated, where is the material coming from, because even though some of those sustainable efforts may appear very green at face value, the truth is that the carbon footprint to get to that point will exceed the life cycle of the use of that material. So again, it's a challenge for us because we're all trying to do the right thing for the right reasons. But the truth is that we have to do some more homework, some more research on each one of those efforts to truly understand, are we really saving the environment or are we not?
Okay. So let's, I'm going to transition to some of the career-related type questions. And here is a question about, how did you determine or decide on your current career path?
One of the most important people in my life was my grandfather, my mom's dad, and he was a civil engineer. And just growing up, I just saw him and I always looked up to him, and just always loved the way his brain operates and thinks. And I always truly appreciated the way he thinks about things as far as problem solving and community support. Because as engineers, that's what we do. We're here to solve problems and to support our communities. And it's something that I was just drawn to, and I loved it. The reason I picked civil engineering because it was the easiest of the engineering. I'm not as smart as most, and as far as engineering is concerned, and in order to graduate proudly as an engineer, I stuck to what I picked as a safe career with civil engineers, and I love it. It's be it structural or transportation, it's something that really speaks to me and I really care about.
Good. So I'm sure several of the folks on this call are thinking about their transition maybe into the construction industry. And so we have a question here about internships. So if someone is doing or looking for an internship, is it better to get many different experiences, so do different things through either different internships or something like that, or to focus on one area that they think they want to work in?
I can share what I did and what worked for me, which is do many things. Really go out of your way to get internships from places that you never expect to go to or to give it a shot. And the reason being is because you don't know what you don't know. And what you think is cool today, by the time you graduate, may not be as cool, and something else may have superseded it. So my recommendation is just give it a shot, go for it. You're still young, you have the road ahead of you. You have just an amazing life left to live, and this is not the time to play it safe or just to have already settled on something. What I can say very proudly is I never settle and I never settled. And it's something that is ingrained with me from my parents. And they always have pushed me to try different things and really stretch myself to a place where, even though I knew what I wanted at the time, they pushed me to do different things. And so my recommendation is, if you can find internships globally, go get them. If you can find internships in things that don't necessarily interest you, but it's a new industry like AI, go for it. You just never know. You just never know what's out there. There are startups today that really focus on innovation in engineering and construction. And for me, if I'm in your shoes today, these are the companies, the startups that I'll go after. It's companies that are testing the limits of what's possible. It's companies that may not be there by the time you graduate because they went under, but it's companies that truly are defining and try to identify what the future of industry is. And if I was you today, that's exactly where I want to be.
So here's another for your question. So for students who are entering the construction industry as young professionals, what suggestions do you have for how they can have a positive impact on sustainable practices within their future companies or the construction industry?
So in my career, I always loved hiring either interns or young professionals. And the reason being is because, in my mind, they always provided different perspectives and really a different lens on old standards. My recommendation to anybody graduating or getting an internship is don't be quiet. When you see something that you have a different idea or concept, just speak up, share it. It's something that you probably heard of 100 times, but the truth is that at the end of the day, our industry demands your heavily engagement, your input. And I'm not talking about just at work. Be part of Habitat for Humanity, be part of your AGC chapters, be part of your ACEC chapters. And when I say be part of, like, don't just show up, be actively engaged. Say what's on your mind, push the envelope. You may be ignored a couple of times. You may be ignored, 99% of the time, but guess what? That 1% of the time when you're not ignored, you're making a huge difference. You are the future we're all counting on, and you cannot just be quiet. You cannot, even the most introverts of you, please be vocal, please be active. It's surprising how much of an impact you can have. And candidly, it's surprising how many of you all don't speak up and are not engaged. So, we're blessed to have you all in our industry. We're blessed that you're here to be engaged and be supportive. Just be vocal and be active.
Okay. So I think we're starting to wrap up here, but I have a question. I'm jumping in here. I have a question for you. So you talked about cruise terminals you're working on all over the world. What are some of your favorite locations that you've been to around the world, or that you guys have projects in?
It's very hard to put a cruise terminal in a place that's not beautiful. That's the whole point of it, right? And each one of those locations has its own uniqueness, by which, it's no secret that Royal Caribbean is having a record year. It's no secret that everyone wants to be on a cruise because it has a charm. You can go to places where you can't go otherwise, and you can experience in ways that you couldn't experience it otherwise. So truth be told, the one location that I had never been to that I'm completely in love with is a city called Ravenna. It's Ravenna in Italy. That's the one I was just sharing with you earlier. It's 140 kilometers south of Venice. It's amazing how the seed of the Byzantine Empire was not damaged, was not touched. It has beautiful mosaics. It has it's like almost like frozen in time, and it was not impacted during the wars. And the people there are just amazingly welcoming and nice and supportive. And it is very close to Bologna in Italy, and Bologna is known to be one of the best places to eat in the world. So between the seafront, the beautiful waterfront, the location close to Venice, the city's own history and heritage, the people, the food, the topography. Again, I had never heard of it before, and I'm just completely in love with that city. So I just hope nobody runs and starts buying homes because I'm close to buying a home there. So please don't mess up the market, don't inflate it for me. But it is just a beautiful little town, and I highly recommend anyone to go there.
Fantastic. So I think with that, I'm going to wrap up the questions. I tried to make it through all the questions. If I didn't hit your question exactly, hopefully we got close to your question. So thank you everyone for submitting questions. And we do have a winner today for our scholarship, our Ask Me Anything scholarship. And our winner for today's session is Morgan Dawkins from Pennsylvania State University. So congratulations, Morgan.
Well, I want to give out a shout out to Morgan. I went to Penn State for grad school, and I know how hard that school is. So congrats to Morgan for going to Penn State, period.
Fantastic. Fantastic crowd here today. I saw over 70 people, student participants. So thank you, everyone. And I guess to wrap it up, I'll say that before we say goodnight, we would like to say a special thank you to our sponsors: the University of Florida Brinker School of Construction, Arizona State University's Del E. Webb School of Construction, and the University of Colorado at Boulder Construction Engineering and Management. And with that, we look forward to seeing you at our next webinar, which is on March 5th. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.